Some of the hatch chicken family history and origin. The history and origin of Walton hatch. Henry Wortham was working for Jack Walton at the time Jack decided to sell out. Henry knew Manuel Massey, who was feeding for Paul Harvey, a professional wager from Odessa, Texas. Henry asked Manuel to form a plan with him in order to get Paul to buy the fowl. Manuel talked Paul into purchasing 12 cocks from Jack. Henry tied pieces of string on the cages of 12 double-barrel aces. When Paul and Manuel selected the 12 cocks, Manuel picked only the ones with strings on the cages that Henry planted. This was unknown to both Jack Walton and Paul Harvey. After all 12 cocks were selected by Manuel, Jack told Paul that he didn't know about Manuel's feeding ability, but he selected the 12 best cocks he owned, besides the brood cocks. Manuel Massey got the cocks ready for the Sunset Tournament. They won easily. Paul Harvey and Manuel won several other big tournaments shortly thereafter. This made Paul and Massey the top cockfighter that year. This all happened in the early 1952. The wins convinced Paul to purchase the rest of Jack Walton's fowl. Paul paid Jack the sum of $20,000. Paul Harvey hired professional union carpenters to build pens for the fowl. Carpenters worked around the clock getting the pens on Paul's estate ready. When the pens were completed, Paul and Massey drove to Dallas with boxes for the cocks and U-Haul trailers for the hens and little ones. During this time Henry was selling to others some good Walton hatch, to others unknown to Paul. I had heard that some of these cockfighters were Clarence Stewart, Ray Hoskins, Richard Bates, and the Everett brothers of Hood County Red fame. Harold Wells ended up with the Bone Crusher cock, which was one of the original 12 cocks. Harold started a family of bone crushers that became a major force at the Jol N.M. pit ran by Tommy Booth. Over a period of 20 to 30 years Paul Harvey sold many Walton hatch. At the time he decided to sell all the Walton fowl. Bill Patterson bought the best of what he had left. Bill still raises and fights the Walton hatch fowl. The Walton hatch, if inbred over a long period, will come spangled with pearl-colored legs, red eyes, and large bones. Their temperament is nasty. The Walton fowl will put gameness and hitting power into any breed. Also they will add bone size if your breed is coming small. To finish the story, Paul Harvey bought the Percy Flowers Blueface bloodline and continued to win derbies until his death. Bill Lysenby purchased the remaining Blueface bloodline fowl at Paul's death. If you ever owned a Walton hatch, you will never stop breeding a few because of their gameness and tremendous power. The history and origin of Doc Robinson hatch chicken. The Doc Robinson hatch is a good bloodline to have whether you are a beginner or someone who wants to improve the speed and ferocity of your yard. It is said that the Doc Robinson hatch or Docs originated from the yellow-legged hatch line created by Clarence Stewart from the Bone Crusher, Jack Walton hatch. Like any good breeder at that time, Doc Robinson was always on a lookout for great fighting cocks to improve his line. Whenever Doc saw a bird in the pit that he liked, and thought could improve his, he would buy it and take it home with. Normally, when we see a Doc Robinson hatch in the pits, we see a dark-colored rooster with dark legs, but actually Doc had two different hatch lines. The light side and dark side, separated on each side of the yard, and the birds looked completely different. The dark side were more uniform with a dark mahogany color, green and blue legs, and had a straight comb with the occasional lemon hackle around the bottom of the hackle. The light side were very light lemon-hackled birds with yellow legs and a pea comb. However, they also could have green, slate, blue, spotted, or even green on one half and yellow on the other legs. And within those were individual strains. There were many lines. The main one is the Red Bandeds, and the information regarding the Red Bandeds is that the Red Bandeds received their name because they descended from a hen with a red leg band. Doc Robinson took 5 cocks out of her and showed them at sunset, winning every fight. And another strain is the Rag Hatch Blood. Their name came from how they looked as chicks. They were always raggedy with poor feathering and a ugly coloration until they grew up into the dark mahogany-colored fowl. There have been stories that some Doc Robinson hatches change color when they molt. I don't find this surprising, as I have witnessed this behavior in other bloodlines as well. I saw a dark-legged Kelso that came out of intense inbreeding, which gives substance to the story that Walter Kelso at one time may have infused his cocks with hatch blood. And also dark-legged and dark-colored lemons, which sometimes turn up when inbred. I believe that breeders before were more concerned with fighting style rather than color and appearance. The yellow-legged hatch chicken history and physical characteristics. Bloodline history. One of the most popular of the hatch family for its proven winning ways. The YLH is 100% yellow-legged, it is 70% straight-combed and 30% pea-combed, with light red feathers and is black-breasted. The yellow leg hatch is a cross between the already proven line of blueface hatch of renowned breeder Sandy Hatch, Whitehackle and Boston Roundhead for one truly murderous game fowl. Fighting style. These gamecocks are deadly cutters, have deep game and possess very powerful legs and has good endurance for drag fights. Sidestepping or weaving is one of the defensive tactics of smart game fowl. It provides the game fowl a way to avoid a deathblow while setting up one of its own counter-attacks for the win. A sidestep disorients an attacking opponent for just that split second, the weaving rooster always aware of where the attacker is, while the rooster that commits to the attack loses its target and has to attack again, but is open to attack itself if it cannot reorient itself in time. Some cockers prefer this kind of rooster smarts when breeding fighters. The history and origin of Leiper hatch chicken. The Leiper hatch is a breed of game fowl that was developed in the United States during the late 19th century. This breed was created by crossing various strains of Old English game and pit game, creating a bird that is both powerful and aggressive. The breed is known for its hardiness and resilience, traits which have made it a popular choice for cockfighting enthusiasts. The Leiper hatch is a medium-sized bird, with the males typically reaching a height of 28 to 30 inches, while the females reach a height of 24 to 26 inches. The birds have long, wide tails, broad breasts, and a low-set body. The feathers on the Leiper hatch can vary in color, ranging from black to white, with some birds having a more mixed coloring. Bloodline history. The Leiper hatch was developed by John E. Leiper in the United States during the late 19th century. Leiper had been experimenting with various breeds of game fowl, trying to create a bird that was both powerful and aggressive. After many years of experimentation crossing breeds of different bloodlines including Leiper and several strains of hatch, he was able to create the Leiper hatch, a breed that was well suited for cockfighting. The breed quickly gained popularity and soon became a favorite of many cockfighting enthusiasts. The breed has since become one of the most popular game fowl breeds in the United States, with many breeders specializing in the Leiper hatch. Physical characteristics. The Leiper hatch gamefowl is a medium-sized bird, with the males typically reaching a height of 28 to 30 inches, while the females reach a height of 24 to 26 inches. The feathers on the Leiper hatch gamefowl can vary in color, ranging from black to white, with some birds having a more mixed coloring. The birds are known for their hardiness, as well as their agility and quickness. Leiper hatch gamefowl are also known for their strong legs and beaks, which help them in combat. Leiper hatch fighting styles. The Leiper hatch gamefowl is known for its aggressive fighting style, which makes it a popular choice for those looking to enter the sport of cockfighting. The birds are known for their determination and resilience, traits which allow them to fight for long periods of time without becoming fatigued. The Leiper hatch gamefowl is known for its powerful strikes, which can be used to inflict serious damage on an opponent. The birds are also known for their skill at dodging their opponent's strikes, as well as their ability to quickly change direction in order to evade an attack. McLean hatch history and physical characteristics. McLean hatch is one of the most popular gamecock, not because of its winning record but because of its do or die, no retreat no surrender behaviors. In short, of all of the game fowl breeds and roosters, McLean hatches have the bigger balls and are willing to die than run away. McLean hatch origin and profile. The hatch blood came from Sanford Hatch, who blended, as the story goes, a Carney Whitehackle with a Carney Brown Red, mixing in other blood like the Herman Duryea Boston Roundheads, and Jim Thompson Mahoganies, among others, to come up with his signature hatch fowl. From the Sandy Hatch stocks came Ted McLean's version of hatch that came both yellow and green-legged. Supposedly, these were the better hatches that gave rise to the other variants of the McLean like Gilmore hatch, Blueface hatch, Jack Walton hatch, Kentucky hatch, Oak Grove hatch, etc. The McLean hatch is one of the legendary game fowl breeds that has stood the test of time among broodstock breeders, and its offshoot, the Blueface hatch, has gained its own following among game fowl aficionados looking for a good fighter. Ted McLean retired from the game fowl competition in December of 1954. McLean hatch. In the early 30s, Mr. E.S. Hatch and Mr. E.T. McLean were on the floor of the stock exchange as colleagues and were sharing some game fowl for crossing to find that perfect fighter. At the time, the hatch stock consisted of 4 basic bloodlines. These were the Carney makeup of the 2 strains Mike Carney brought from Ireland, namely the Beastie, breasted light reds, Whitehackles, and the brown-breasted reds, plus the Herman Duryea fowl commonly called Boston Roundheads, which he added when he worked for Mr. Duryea. With these 3 bloodlines, Mr. Hatch crossed into a 4th, the green-legged Thompson, Jim Thompson fowl. The created progeny of the McLean hatch, Ted himself considered as straight stuff, game fowl or cocks with gameness, toughness, and power, the mark of the hatch bloodline. The McLean hatch fighting style. While the first McLean hatches did not win all the time, they were admired by many for their aggressive, no-holds-barred attitude and suicide attack mode. The previous bloodlines of McLean hatches did not win all the time, they were admired by many for their aggressive, no-holds-barred attitude and suicide attack mode. McLean hatch were rather poor cutters, low-headed dumb fighters, that usually fly into 2 or 3 hits before throwing one of their patented haymakers at their opponents. They either won spectacularly or lost as incredibly as well. When modern game fowl became faster, a pure McLean hatch became less of a threat, and they are now considered at a disadvantage if fought pure. Their value today as base stock are to produce battle cocks infused with the straight stuff, hatch traits, gameness, power hitting, and toughness. Modern hatches are more high-flying and are faster, many coming more brainy than usual. Their usual characteristics like power and gameness, though, are still there, their blows often packing a wallop. They are basically medium-stationed and P-combed with some coming straight-combed. Gilmore hatch history and physical characteristics. Loon Gilmore was a cocker and a good friend of Ben Ford. They fought birds with and against each other for over 60 years. Loon Gilmore acquired his birds direct from Sanford Hatch and Mike Carney. When Mike crossed the Carney brown reds on the Hatch birds, they were awesome as any ever bred until this day. Sanford wanted to breed them back to the yellow-legged side, but Mike insisted on breeding them one more time to the Carney brown red side and produced them to fight, and fight they did and won some derbies against everyone at that time. He wanted to breed a cock of his father's breeding, which was the Carney Whitehackle, to the Sanford Currany and Carney Bleedings. From this breeding he had 17 black birds with white specks in them and over 40 brown-red looking birds. He then crossed these back on the brown reds having the Carney Whitehackle in them and hatch blood. They came all dark fowl with green legs. Mike gave Loon Gilmore 6 hens and 1 dark red cock to breed over them. This was the origin of the Gilmore hatch fowl, and the Ben Ford fowl. These birds were given and sold to Gilmore from Mr. Hatch and Mike Carney. It did have Mike Carney's father's Whitehackle blood in them, and still till this day they will come spangle or dark. The next breeding that was the brown red and Carney out and out became the 42 hatch that J.D. Perry dominated, with the same fowl from same people except did not have the Carney Whitehackle in them yet, mostly yellow leg, and the black legs made em all come odd green legged. Believe it or not, I knew Colonel Givens for over 40 years and he got his fowl from Loon Gilmore in the early 40s and also got some of Mike Carney Jr.'s Whitehackles that were dark red and spangled, and fought the Carney Whitehackle crosses at Sunset and all over North Alabama. Colonel Givens and Jimmy East were the handlers for John Overland Fowler from Huntsville, Alabama. When John Fowler died, Jimmy kept his hatch fowl and Colonel Givens kept the Whitehackles. So the Gilmores are 1/4 Carney Whitehackle minus 1/4 hatch 1/2 brown red, bred back to the 1/2 hatch 1/2 brown red and kept that way until he passed on. Still to this day all Gilmores will throw a spangle every other year or so. It depends on how they are bred and where you got them. So there is your facts, believe it or not, but if ya didn't get em from Gilmore, they're yours.
Spangled hatch game fowl history and physical characteristics. The great speckled bird is an old breed of gamefowl that has stood the test of time and are still winning with an utmost high percentage today. These fowl have a long history of great breeding behind them. Billy Rubel, who was a famous man for his power hatch cocks. Harold Brown had these hatch cocks that he and Curtis Blackwell got direct from Ted McLean. Harold let Billy have these cocks. The ones they liked best were getting old. Billy bought the old cock and bred them brother and sister, which came out spangled. Harold Brown and Billy Rubel did not want spangled chickens, so Ed Garrard got the spangled fowl from Harold Brown. These were strictly power cocks. Foxy was Ed Garrard's wife's brother, who was a referee. Richard Bates at that time had the highest braking power and cutting cocks at that on the circuit. Richard Bates was in a short heel derby and had a cock that had a broken wing and could not see. Ed got Foxy to buy the cock from Richard, which was a tall, high-stationed Spangled cock. This cock had to be fed by hand to mouth for a long time. The cock never did get to where he could see. Ed Garrard was determined to breed this cock. He was put in a 4x4 pen. The cock learned where his feed and water was. Ed bred this cock over the Spangled McLean hens, then put them together. The Bates and McLeans came out green and yellow-legged. Harold Brown bred to the green-legged side, but got a few yellow-legged chickens. A man by the name of Massey in Mississippi took these and bred to the yellow-legged side with great success, but that is another long story. Ed Garrard bred the yellow-legged side 5/8 by 3/8. Richard Bates bred both 5/8 by 3/8 together and made a set strain. The cocks were not only good but also reproduce well, and I have had the fowl since 1964. They have kept on producing and the offspring have kept on reproducing. Personally, I think they are better now than they have ever been. I took the Spangled hatch and made a family, and also took the red ones and made another family. Bud McPherson was the only one I would swap bloodlines with. When Ed Garrard got sick, Bud and myself inherited these fowl. We got the ones we wanted. Bud McPherson, who was a great friend of Red Richardson, got an Albany cock and bred it to the Spangles, then went to the Albany side, the Albany fowl from Mr. Red Richardson is another long story off-grid history.
Disclaimer: no copyright infringement intended. All music, picture and videos inserted belongs to the rightful owner. For educational, documentary and entertainment purpose only.